Do you suffer from depression at all? I was
Yeah.
thinking about this last night.
Yeah.
Do you?
Yeah.
I knew it.
Yeah.
Which is weird because I've never seen it out of you.
No.
But for whatever last time, I'm like, oh, I bet Josh suffers from
Yeah.
depression.
Yeah. I have some dark spells. I really do have some dark spells. And
How dark we talking? Have you? And were you always like this? Because depression, like, because Kat's been. I'm not saying anything that Kat hasn't said on air. I'm not airing her laundry.
Yeah.
But Kat suffers from depression too. But I can tell right when Kat.
Yeah,
when
you have a really
When you walk in,
good-
I'm like, oh, Kat.
Yeah.
Kat, as Dove Davidoff would say, has a touch of the dog.
yeah, yeah. My dad used to say that guy has a touch of the downs.
Oh,
Yeah, he'd
okay,
be like,
Dad.
that guy looks like he was just good. God gave him just a touch.
Hilarious.
Yeah.
If
But-
you had depression, your dad would say, you
No,
had
no,
Down
no.
syndrome?
He would.
Oh, just in general.
If he was like, that guy's dumb. He's like, he's got a touch of the downs.
That's funny.
But not like he was like, not like full, but like God was like, here, just a little for
Just
you.
a touch.
Dink.
Yeah, I feel you.
I would tell you in public, the days that you see me the happiest, I'm overcompensating. I'm overcompensating.
And have you always been? You've always struggled with depression?
I don't know how to answer that because I think when I was younger, I'm not sure I knew. I would have. I
Would you
would've been able
wake
to
up
identify it.
like? Would you wake up sad though when you were younger?
Yeah, some. It's been.
Because they say it is like it's genetic, right?
Yeah.
So there's a good chance your kids are probably going to suffer from it.
So I think for sure that Jacob has a little bit of it. I mean, my daughter has her already had. Has her
Yep.
issues. For me, my oldest son, I don't know. I don't think he does. He's going through some tough times, but I don't know if he technically has.
The military kid.
Yeah, but for me,
Are
man,
you on medication?
am I? No, my depression is always about. It always comes down to, and I don't know about you, Kat, but it's such self-loathing, and it's got
Yes.
nothing to do with anything around me. It's never depressed about my career. It's never depressed about my family. I hit a period of a couple days where I just think I'm the biggest piece of shit. And I just,
Same with you, Kat.
Yeah.
it's really hard for me.
And there's nothing you can do, huh?
I can't shake it out of. I can't shake
it's
it
weird.
out of my own. The only thing that keeps me sane is I'm old enough and I've been through it enough to know
You'll get through it.
this is going to end. This is
do
not
your kids
what I
know when you have the touch of the dog?
Beth does. My wife does.
She knows what's up.
Yeah.
Do the kid? Growing up, do the kids notice?
No, because like I said, I'm pretty good of overcompensating. But the more I overcompensate, the worse I feel about myself.
That makes sense.
So the happier I pretend to be, the more of a
Sad
piece,
you are.
the deeper the fall is
Do you
going
have,
to
do
be.
you have depression, Chin?
No. I suffered from anxiety for like a few years, but then that kind of went away.
You have anxiety, but
Do you get attacks?
define attack.
Your heart races, you sweat, you feel like you're going to have a heart attack. None
I
of that.
don't have attacks. It's just like a kind of a. If it scale 1 to 10, it'd be a 4 throughout the week.
Oh, that's not terrible.
4 or 5.
I mean-
We're just you're like, oh, come on, dude.
But does it interfere with your day to day? Like does it
No,
stop
I'll still
you?
power. No, I might lose sleep, or I might be not present at home when it happens.
Why
but
did you think that
I have no idea.
Yeah.
I knew it though. I don't know. I was like, oh, I bet. Because I have so many friends that suffer from it. I'm like, oh, I bet Josh has depression.
Well, one of the things and one of the reasons why I really focus on being positive and lifting myself and other people up and not focusing on negative and is because if I sink it's easy for me to sink into it. Like for me to remember to stay positive.
Does it happen once a month for you?
Honestly, when I can mentally keep up with myself and try to remind myself about things that I do have and things that I don't have, things that I
Yes.
can do and not things that I can't do.
Things you can
I can
control.
really help myself. But at least I would say once every 6 weeks or so, it just hits
Hard.
It's a gut punch.
Do you miss shows?
No, I've never missed anything. I've had crying fits in a green room because I would get off stage and just be like, "You sack of
Oh, wow.
shit." I would have to clear it out. But I don't.
I feel like you haven't had a spell in a while, Cat.
Do you take medication?
I do not take medication.
Me
I don't
neither.
know. I've been depressed since I met you, though. Like, I've been depressed for the last, 2 years.
To a certain level, though.
Yeah, to a certain level. It's always pretty manageable, and then every couple of months,
It'll get bad.
it'll get really
It'll
bad.
get bad.
And how many days does it last for you?
Usually a couple weeks.
See, mine don't last that long. And is it for you? Is it self-loathing? Is it more about?
I don't know. Everything just feels really gray. It's like I don't feel anything. It's
Yeah.
weird. It's almost like a
Everything's heavy.
Yes.
everything's heavy. Everything's very gray. I have no motivation to do anything.
Do
Like,
things
I don't wanna talk to
almost
anybody.
I don't know how to explain this, but things almost sound different. Everything sounds so monotone and just.
And medication won't help with that, Kat? You
It
don't want
might.
to try it
I
out?
don't know.
Why not try it out, though?
I don't
like the
want
idea of
it. Me
taking
neither.
medicine for it if I don't need to.
Me too.
In my head, if I've already gotten to this point of my life without medication, I know well enough that there are certain things I can do to help it. It may never take care of the issue, but I don't want to.
But what if, and
Take
I don't
medicine for
know,
it.
I'm talking on my ass here, but I know people that suffer from it who are very close to me and they're on medication. It really helps.
It helps a lot of people.
But does it? I think my thing is that I've heard some people say it just dulls me out,
Yep, I've heard that.
and so
I've heard some people were like, oh, I wouldn't be on this earth if I didn't have it. And it's great. And I've heard from other people, especially creatives, oh, it makes me
that's
not
the
creative.
thing. I don't mind hitting that hole for 3 or 4 days every 6 weeks or so. I'm just scared that it will just dull me out.
What if it makes you guys awesome?
I mean,
Because, Kat, if you've been dealing with it since I've known you, you know what I'm saying? And then
Yeah.
it gets really, really bad for weeks.
It's been like that since I was a kid, though.
Weird.
Yeah.
And your parents were never like, oh, maybe we should see
I
a
think
doctor?
No, I don't think they
she wasn't
realized
even
it
allowed to
was
see
an
other people.
issue.
How's she going to see a doctor?
True.
Can't see
Very
daylight.
true. They didn't know it was an issue till I was 18.
Genetically, it's something with a chemical imbalance for you.
Yeah,
That's
my
what it
sister
is.
has something.
Your
I have
sister has
cousins
it
and
too?
Stuff. My sister's bipolar.
Can you feel it coming on when it happens?
Yeah, I can kind of feel it trickling in.
Yeah. And do you almost prepare yourself mentally?
Yeah, I kind of give people a heads up,
Me
hey,
too.
if I disappear for a couple weeks, you don't hear from me, I'm fine.
I tell
They'll
Beth,
check into the
Such a
podcast to make
bummer,
sure
Kat.
that I'm at work, and I'm if I'm at work, I'm good.
does it affect you going places? Do you miss work? Do you?
She
I
missed
used
work,
to-
but she's not. I can when it's bad for you, Kat. She's not. She's not Kat. You're just fuck.
Yeah. It's so impossible to explain to people because you're an intelligent person. I'm half intelligent. I know when I'm in it. And I'm I'm in it. Just get yourself out of it. And it just
one of my-
doesn't happen.
One of my closest friends, my brother Theo Vaughn, and I'm not saying anything
Yeah.
that's not out there. He suffers from it.
Yeah.
And dude, you're talking Jekyll and fucking Hyde, man. Where I'm learning to deal with it more now, but it was. I mean, he'll get dark and this is the worst, and this. I'm like, what the fuck? And then you realize, oh, that's not real. Like what he's saying, he doesn't mean it's not real. Or sometimes, in the morning, he might be at his worst. So me and him, Theo and I don't talk before 11 a.m. We don't because we'd always fight.
Yeah,
Always,
man.
he'd be like, oh, dude. And then at 1, he'd call and apologize. I'm like, dude, let's just not talk in the mornings. Let's just skip that. Don't call me about any business or anything regarding the show. We'll just talk later in the afternoon. You're much better. He's like, I agree. And then, but when Theo's happy, he's the best fucking person on the planet.
Fuck yeah.
He's one of my favorite people on this earth. When he's sad, I know, and I force him to come to my house. I go, Theo, I guarantee you cannot be sad around Tiger. Guarantee it, dude. Just come over, see what happens.
And you're not.
He won't do it, and he'll come over. No, he can't. He didn't have time to think about his shitty situation,
Yeah.
whatever he's going through. Because Tiger's forced him to play hide and go seek, or shoot fucking Nerf guns, or drag him to the pool or basketball. And he'll be like, dude, this really helped. I'm like, I'm telling you, dude.
I think I didn't notice it as much when my kids were younger, and maybe also because it was all depression. When I was living in that one room with them, it all kind of sucked.
Yeah, that'd be tough.
So I don't know, and maybe just everything was happening all at once. But the more time alone I've had as they've gotten older, is the more I've really noticed it.
I think social media, if you do suffer from that, amplifies everything too. 'Cause
I agree with you.
There's not a lot of positivity going on there.
I agree
You
with
can
you.
find it, but for in general, if you're going through comments, stuff like that, like no successful person's leaving comments. So you're getting comments from people who are not happy,
Yeah.
and they're suffering from whatever you're suffering for, and they lash out on there, and you're reading those comments, and you're downloading that into your database. It's not good, man.
Well, also for those of us in this business and anything really, when you look at social media, you think you're looking at people's actual lives.
No.
They're just showing you the parts that they want you to see. So no matter when you're scrolling through, all you're looking at is people who you perceive to have a better life than you.
Yes, and it's not real.
No, it's not real.
Everyone's
So it's
struggling.
super depressing.
And no,
So-
everyone has the same problems too, dude.
Yeah.
Whether it's a person who's taking a picture in a giant mansion, they still have problems. Trust
I
me.
hear Blazarian's got
they
some
have
problems.
Who?
I heard Blazarian's got some.
Dan?
I heard he had some. Somebody told me that they were coming after him for tax stuff. Is
I
that
could have
true?
told you he has problems from his fucking Instagram. Yeah, dude, you don't post pictures with dime pieces and guns and tanks and
Yeah.
flaunt your money like that and not have serious issues.
I
Serious ego issues, self-doubt.
Jacob's worked a couple
Probably
parties
has
up
a
there.
little dick, you know, like you don't. And I like him. You don't post that stuff because you're throwing this out there for not just for followers. You're doing something with this, dude.
Yeah, man.
You know,
I've never been to one of those parties. Jacob's been to a couple where he worked a couple, and he said it's like, you know, those parties you see in the movies that you don't think actually happen. He was like, that's what his parties are like. And I said, how? And he said, but, he was like, there's just so. But I didn't know this until I looked. I think that they pay for a lot of those women to be there. I think
100%.
I had no idea.
Oh yeah.
So that party alone must cost a gazillion.
It costs a
dollars.
gazillion. Also, no one knows each other. You ever been to a party where like, oh, how do you know him? Like, oh, I don't. You're like, well, that's weird. You go
Yeah.
over here. How do you know him? Oh, we don't. He just invited me. It's like an old Brian Callen party. I'd go up. I'm like, oh, how do you guys know each other? We don't. Okay, go over. How do you guys know each other? We don't. Like, nobody knows each other. Do you know whose house this is? Like, no. Brian just invited random people, and there's no chemistry. There's no vibe in the party. Like, what the fuck? This is a bunch of rejects. Dude, when I get off stage at the Laugh Factory, right away you go, bro, I figure out what you look like. I'm like, what? This is in front of a bunch of other comics. I'm like, what? You're like, you look like a Rottweiler who got his shit together.
Oh, you do, bro. Yeah.
Come on, man.
I'm just saying, dude.
Grab that mic, son.
You do. Look, bro, look.